Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Something in the Wild. I'm your host Tyler Smith, and on this podcast I will be breaking down the weekly life of a modern day hunter and outdoorsman. Anything from fly fishing to camping, we are going to cover it here and discuss the comforts and struggles of the outdoor climate in this day and age. Let's get right into it. Our agenda for this episode should be pretty interesting for you guys. I have some conservation news going on the other side of the country that a lot of people should probably be paying attention to. I will also be talking about my recent shed hunting trip, which I just got back from. Didn't even change out of my hoodie yet. I have been prepping for a Steelhead trip with a couple of my buddies and actually just found out that we are adding a couple more, so that should be exciting. And I will briefly cover Sammi and I's journey to becoming proficient gardeners. Might be a longer journey than most people take, but we're going to dive right into that right now. Let's do it. So, first, I want to talk about the conservation news that I mentioned. So, what is going on in the U.S. right now, conservation-wise, that should be interesting to a lot of you guys, and you guys should be paying attention to? So, right now, BHA. So, BHA is it's called Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. It is a conservation organization that fights nationwide. They have chapters in every single state, and they work with legislation and government to help protect and designate land usage and, as well as hunting and fishing laws that are for the people that love to hunt and fish. That's kind of all in the name, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. So what are they trying to do right now? So BHA right now is fighting with Ron Wyden. Actually, they're collaborating with Ron Wyden, who is the senator of Oregon. And they are trying to conserve the Owyhee Canyon lands in eastern Oregon. So what are the Owyhee Canyon lands? So they are, it is a huge tract of public land currently, around 1 million acres. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to preserve it permanently as a designated federal wilderness area. So what does wilderness area mean? A lot of people might not understand the federal term or the federal definition for wilderness area, but essentially what it means is designated land that cannot be developed. So you cannot put roads, you cannot put houses, you cannot put buildings, you can't do any of that stuff on wilderness areas, just minor trails, and that should be the only proof of human development is just minor little single track trails, which is beautiful. I love this project that they're taking on. And this place is really, really interesting. For one, this area is one of the, part of the home range of the red band trout. So that is a specific type of trout native to that area. And all of the rivers and streams are populated with either that or brown trout. So conserving those streams is an absolute must if you want to keep that population healthy of red band trout. Now on to the more terrestrial type animals that live here. So this is a key wintering and summering grounds range, I guess you could say, for bighorn sheep, mule deer, elk, pronghorn, as well as greater sage grouse, which are actually very close to being on the endangered species list right now. So this is going to be crucial for their longevity and survival. The California quail, as well as big-eared bats, which are vulnerable. They're on the vulnerable list right now due to loss in roosting and foraging habitat. So basically this initiative is going to cover all of those animals, try and help protect all of those animals, and give them a place where human settlement will not affect them anymore, as long as they can get this bill passed. So if you want to support that initiative, if you want to help out, check out BHA. check out their website, or you could, even send emails, call into Congress, call into Ron Wyden, and give him your 2 cents, I guess. I think the best way for us to help this out and help this get over the finish line is just by making our voices heard. I think, I don't think a lot of people really understand what, what your voice can do to help these projects out. You might think you're just one person. Well, if they get enough, if everyone thought, oh, I'm just one person, if everyone that thought that made their voice heard, changes would happen. So go out there, say something about it if you're interested in it. But I understand that it is in Oregon, might not be directly correlated to a lot of people, but it's always good to help support, people that enjoy the outdoors and things of that nature. So go out and support if you can. You can also donate to BHA at their website or become a member. I am looking to become a member this year, and hopefully we can continue that going into 2024 and 2025. So, next, what are you doing, Koa? I got my dog in here. He's playing with the ball right now, so I gotta keep him under wraps. So next, what am I going to be talking about here? So the next thing I want to talk about is my week, kind of a weekly review of what was going on. The first thing that I mentioned was my shed hunting trip that I went on. It was kind of a little morning trip. I left early this morning, and it was a scouting shed hunting mix, more scouting than shed hunting because I didn't find anything. I'm slowly beginning to realize that I suck at shed hunting, or I guess I don't really have a good shed eye, per se, but that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. I love spending time outside. I'm getting some really good scouting time in, hanging up some trail cameras. So I don't think it was a waste of time. And today, kind of breaking down what I did, got there probably around like 7:30 or so, and I just started hiking. I mapped a route that I wanted to take, hitting a bunch of different benches on the mountain, pinch points, a bunch of feeding areas that I have known were there, a bunch of rub lines, scrapes, things of that nature, and found some really, really good sign. Hung up my trail camera over top of a very, very prominent trail. So I'm hoping that I can get some good imaging and kind of take inventory, see what survived this year, and see if all of these bucks have shedded their antlers so far. Next, the next thing kind of on my list of things to do for that property is to start picking out trees for next year that I'm going to be setting up in. So rut stands, pre-rut stands, post-rut stands, things like that. That'll be my next initiative in, making sure that I'm trimming up shooting lanes and have a good game plan going into next year. Now, the next item on my list that I want to talk about is the prep for my Steelhead trip. So, it is right now February 11th, and it's very warm. It's unseasonably warm, and I think I can't rely on it being this warm during our trip, because last year it was actually earlier than it is. It was in late January, and it was freezing. It was like max in the 10 degree range. And so I need to be prepared for that as well. This northeastern weather is very unpredictable this time of year. One day it could be 50 degrees and sunny, and 2 days later it could be 20 and snowy. So always got to stay on your toes, and that is, that correlates directly to the gear that I'm packing. So I'll be packing insulation pieces as well as warmer weather gear if that does, if we are fortunate enough to face that warmer weather. And what else am I bringing? So this is going to be kind of like a wading type trip where, I'll have to bring my waders, fishing gear, etc., etc. And I plan on doing a little bit of tying for, because, I'll be fly fishing. So I'm going to plan on tying a couple woolly buggers, both olive and black. I like the natural colors, and I've had a lot of success on those, at this specific area. So that is my biggest concern, is getting all of that stuff ready to go. I cover this a lot, but whenever I'm going on trips like these, I always want to have my stuff prepared at least a week before I leave. And the reason for that being that whenever I do leave, I just want to be able to grab my stuff and go. And also, a lot of people, whenever they leave for long trips, extended periods of time, they always have that nagging feeling that they forgot something. I get that so bad. And I found that if I pack way beforehand, I will remember things that I forgot on my first go around. So I'll pack up a bunch of stuff, and 2 days later, I'll be like, oh crap, I forgot socks or I forgot my boots or whatever. And I'll be able to go and pack those and have a productive trip. So that is my strategy for packing, and I find it works very well. Next, onto my camping setup for that Steelhead trip. So like I said, the weather is going to be a little bit unpredictable. So I actually got a heated mattress pad that I put into my rooftop tent this year. I got it for Christmas, and the thing is freaking awesome. I took it out for my Ohio trip a couple weekends ago, and it worked very, very well. I didn't get the heat actually to start working. It was working on and off, so it would heat up a little bit and then it would turn off. I need to figure out something with the inverter that I was using on my battery, but I'll get that all figured out, and we should be good to go for this trip. So I will be toasty warm regardless, and I'm really looking forward to it. So on to my last topic of the day, and it is kind of my key topic that we're going to be getting into in the next couple months here, and that is Sammi and I's garden. So right now we are... What are you barking at? Oh, you want this ball, don't you? Yeah. Well, you are going to chew on it and be loud. All right, you can have it. If you can hear a dog chewing on a ball, that's why. It's because Koa. Anyway, back to the garden. So, my kind of what we decided we were going to do, and how we're deciding which plants we're going to be planting and stuff like that. We went to, of all places, Dollar General. And guys, if you don't know, Dollar General has tons of options for seeds to plant your garden with. So if you're looking to save some money, you can go to Dollar General, get a pack of seeds. I don't know how many are in there, maybe 10, 20 or so for 25 cents. So go out there, go to Dollar General if you want to start a garden and get your seeds now. We also bought at Dollar General these little mini pots, and these things are really, really cool because you can put a little bit of topsoil in there, put your single seed, and then whenever that seed is ready to be planted outside, you can just plant the whole pot. It's biodegradable. I think it has some sort of fertilizer in it that helps it grow. So you basically just plant the pot right there and let it grow. Very simple and very easy. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to that. So our journey is, it's kind of starting right now. I mean, this is the time whenever people are starting to grow their seeds, starting to sow them. We just set up a shelf in the kitchen right next to the window that we're going to be able to plant some stuff. And I think we should be starting our planting here in the next week, 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure what the timeline is for all of our plants. I don't have my spreadsheet up in front of me right now, but I did do a lot of research and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So I'll keep you guys posted on, how that goes. But this is our big test right here. We recently got a bunch of plants, little house plants, and they're actually thriving right now. I mean, I think they're doing pretty well. They grow a little bit slower than we were expecting, but I think it just takes a little bit of patience and time. They still are getting used to the environment that they're in. I mean, we just replanted them, so I think it just takes time for them to develop the root systems and really start taking off. So again, looking forward to that, and I'll share our progress with you guys as we continue. But that is all I have for you today. I really appreciate everyone listening and tuning in. This one was a little bit shorter than last episode, mainly because I wasn't highlighting what the podcast was going to be about. This is more just about my week. So expect the podcast to be around this length, maybe a little bit longer. Again, still getting used to this whole podcast thing. So bear with me here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope you thought it was interesting. Again, leave suggestions, in the podcast, in the comments, if you want me to cover some things. If you don't want me to cover other things, be more than happy to listen to you guys. And stay tuned for next week. I'm going to be having the one, the only Samantha Falloon on the podcast. She's going to be my first guest, and we are going to talk about what it's like to have a hunter as a boyfriend, someone that spends a lot of time out in the woods and away, as well as the effects of the outdoor, of spending time outside, the outdoor space, and the effects that has on mental health and emotional well-being and things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned, because that's what we're going to be covering next week. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.